Up in smoke. Now that pot is legal in our nation's capital, cops can no longer make a stop just because they smell marijuana in the air. So what if police smell liquor on a driver's breath? Does that mean they can go free? Here to debate these tough legal questions are attorney Elliot Feely and criminal defense attorney Matt Kaiser. Nice to see both of you this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Matt, I want to start with you. You're defending this position, this idea that cops, if they smell weed in the air, they don't have to, even if they're sitting behind the wheel of a car, they don't have to pull them over, they don't have to do anything and intervene. Why not?
Well, look, for years, a common and effective police tactic has been to pull over a car full of young black men. The cop says we smelled some kind of marijuana smoke, and then they pull everybody in the car out, they put them on the ground, they search them. You do that enough times, you shake a tree enough times, a nut's going to fall out. The problem is, you do that 100 times, one time maybe you find something, 99 times, what you're doing is you're creating a whole group of people who are really angry at the police for being harassed for no good reason.
Elliot, you disagree on this?
Completely disagree. Look, when it comes to pot, the nose knows. When I was a prosecutor, I oversaw as a supervisor the prosecution of literally thousands of low-level drug cases, including a fair number of marijuana cases. And I can tell you, every single time, to the best of my recollection, that an officer seized evidence based on smell, based on suspicion that it was pot, and it was sent to the lab, it came back positive for pot. So what does that mean? It means that the suspicion based on odor turned out to be a reasonable one. And that's important because that's the prevailing constitutional standard. Under the law, when you have a reasonable suspicion of criminal activity, you're allowed to stop, to detain, to investigate further. Okay, so if, in my experience, the smell led to a reasonable suspicion, then this guideline contradicts that.
Matt, on that point, though, I mean, is there a double standard here, which is that if police officers smell, there's empty liquor bottles in the car and they smell alcohol, you're going to get locked up or handcuffed, but if they smell pot, they can just let you go?
No, I mean, the rules in D.C. for alcohol and for marijuana on this kind of thing are basically the same. If they see you driving and you're driving crazy, they pull you over and a cloud of marijuana smoke comes out. The rule is not the cop has to ignore that and to do a breathalyzer to see if you're drunk.
But what if you're not driving, though? What if you're not driving, Matt? What if you're just sitting there in the car smoking? I mean, the law seems really fuzzy on this in D.C.
Well, yeah, actually, on that point, absolutely not. In D.C., the law is crystal clear. You're not allowed to smoke marijuana in public. It's just like alcohol, except that you can legally sell and buy alcohol. And with marijuana in D.C., you've got to just sort of come to possess it somehow. But they'll deal with that later.
Elliot, is this handcuffing the cops?
Yeah, I mean that's the problem. As you just pointed out, it's still illegal in some circumstances, like you can't smoke it out on the street. But how do you detect it on the street? You're going to say they can't use their sense of smell, but they can do it, based on appearance? In reality, pot is more unique by odor than by appearance. So if you're going to leave some of these marijuana laws on the books, don't take away the ability of the cops to use their basic senses to enforce the laws that are still on the books.
Matt, on that point, I mean, a cop's not supposed to. Well, I didn't smell it. I saw that the joint was small. It was smaller than a cigarette, so that's why I arrested the person.
Look, and that's fine. If the cops see somebody smoking marijuana, they're breaking the law. They're out in public smoking pot. That's illegal in D.C. It's illegal in Colorado. You can't be smoking, just like you can't take a bottle of vodka and drink it on the corner. You can't take a marijuana cigarette and smoke that on the corner. But if you're in your house and you're smoking marijuana, here in D.C., that's now legal. And if a cop smells you walking down the street with marijuana, that's not a reason to think there's criminal activity. Even if Elliot's right that a cop's nose is always right, which I think is wrong, what Elliot's not seeing are all the cases where a cop thinks he smells marijuana, does a search, and doesn't find anything. Yeah. And in my experience, talking to people who've been harassed by cops for a long time, there are way more of those than there are of interactions with the police that turn into a criminal case.
Elliot, I'll give you the final word.
Look, if you want to fully decriminalize, if you want to fully legalize, like in Colorado, then have the guts to go ahead and do that. But don't leave these laws on the books and then say to cops, you can't use your basic tools of enforcement.
That's exactly what we've done in D.C. It's legal in D.C. now.
Not fully.
There's still some fuzziness.
Not federally.
There's still a cloud of smoke. There's still a cloud of pot smoke hovering over this whole thing. Elliot, Matt, nice to see you this morning. Thanks so much for getting up early with us.
Have a great day.
Thank you.